Hey, welcome to the podcast. We're going to go ahead and get into it. I'm super kind of like excited to talk about this episode because it's fresh. It's something that we recently have walked through, and I definitely think it's a problem in America.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe even the world.
Yeah, today, this is Josh and I run a company where we help people with sales and getting better at sales. But today, specifically, what we're going to talk about is police profiling.
That's not at all what we're talking about. We are not talking about police profile. Although, actually, let's use that. Do you think police profiling should happen? Do you think that that's needed?
I don't even know if I want to dive into that right now. I feel like very underqualified, but
yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about that because I don't know.
Maybe we should.
How about this? Let's not talk about what the police should not do. I'm super grateful for the police. I would never defund them, and I'm very grateful for them. Also, hey, we got to hold people accountable. But here's my point on all of this. Let's get back to what we can talk about. Do you personally, by nature, do you think you profile people, prejudge people? Do you think there's an innate thing as a human being that you do that?
I want to say no, but if I'm honest, yeah, absolutely. Everybody does. If you say that you don't prejudge someone, if you're in the grocery store and you look at what someone's wearing, if I walk into the grocery store and I'm wearing my hoodie and my short shorts that I love so much and my Vans, you're going to be judging me. You're like, that guy's kind of weird.
I'm your business partner and I judge you when you wear your super short shorts.
Yeah, I know there's sometimes I show up and Josh is like, yo, we can't work together today, man, because like you look homeless.
No, it's just your shorts are so short. It looks like you're wearing a Speedo. And then you have a hoodie. You know what you look like? You look like the high school girls that wear those oversized shirts.
The sorority girls.
You're like, do you got pants on underneath that? Or is this just like a new thing I don't know about? And at any moment, we're going to get two cheeks popping out. You know what I mean?
It's so comfy.
But looking at profiling, okay, I'm serious on this. If you look at it in sales, I think we naturally do.
Yeah,
I think you have your own bent as a human being. You see something. Think about it. You're driving on the highway and you're trying to get somewhere. And the highway, you're supposed to go fast, right? Not slow. It's not some back road. You're trying to get somewhere. You're trying to go fast, right? Mm-hmm. So on the highway, if I'm driving and someone is driving not just, not the speed limit, but below the speed limit, 10 miles, 5 miles, sometimes 15 miles, tell me what's going through your head. You're probably thinking, I know what type of driver is up there right now. Everybody has their own version. Okay, so you say an old lady. I go through 4. I'm not going through them. I think it will be canceled faster than we even started this podcast. But I've got about 4 that I go through and I'm like, I bet you and then I play this game. I speed up because I want to find out, was it in one of my 4
it's like
categories?
You're like betting. You're like, oh, I think it's this one,
Yeah, because you also have to take into the consideration the vehicle, what lane they're going slow in, time of day, right? There are a lot of variables that go in to see if you're right on when you're profiling.
And you missed one that's very important. How many bumper stickers they have on their car?
Oh my God, the bumper stickers.
If they have a lot of bumper stickers, that tells you a lot of the volume. There's 2 things: the volume of bumper stickers and the type of bumper stickers that they have, right?
Because one, you got, what is it, like 13.1 or 26.2, right? Or that's like, oh, okay. So you ran a race one time. You're very proud of yourself. Kudos to you on that. So you got the 1. But when you got the like.
You have different political ones as well.
The family ones where it's like. Where it's all the Disney heads or all the Star Wars and it shows the representation of all the people. It's like.
Oh yeah, like if you see one, this is how when I would profile. If you see someone, they have a van and they have all the little like kids. It's like the mom and dad. It's like, hey, we get busy, but we got a big family, and the ones that I like is where it's like all the families, but then they're like Star Wars characters. It's like, hey, we got a big family, we get busy, and we're kind of fun, man. We're quirky
and nerds.
We have do you see we do the family thing, but it's a Star Wars characters.
Let me ask you this: when you see the sticker or the sign that says baby on board, do you noticeably change the way you drive, or are you just like, I don't give a crap about it? So if you see baby on board, you're slowing down.
Yeah, I'm a pretty okay. I'm an aggressive driver. I'm a silently aggressive driver. We've talked about this before. I will cut people off, but I don't honk. You and my wife are the same, where you like want to sit there and yell at people. I'm not going to honk. I'll cut you off, and maybe you'll honk at me. But I think I've probably used my horn maybe 5 times in my entire life.
This is how I know I'm using my horn too much. You ready? The other day I honked and Asher's in the front seat because they're old enough to ride, up front now, which by the way was like my favorite part. Yeah. So I can't wait for freaking Sutherland to be able to ride in the front seat with you because the conversations change.
It's different.
Yeah, you get to actually like talk about things now, and it's really cool. So anyways, I honked and he's like looking down at something. He goes, were they driving too slow, or was it they just didn't know how to change lanes? I was like, honestly, it wasn't either of those categories. They're just frustrating me.
I didn't like the color of their car.
Yeah, I was like, I actually honked because of it was a blue Kia Sorento. I
didn't like disgusting.
I was like, hey, how dare you pick a crappy color on your car? Okay, let's try to talk about something that actually matters. So I think naturally, if we have shown anything, at least in driving, I believe that we are not the exception right now. I think people in driving are probably prejudging all the time when they're on the highway or on the road driving. Well, yesterday, a couple days ago, I actually don't know the timeline, but a couple days ago, let's just say a couple days ago, I was on with the prospect. We both were. I thought this prospect was going to kind of shut it down. And they were done. I thought maybe their time because they were engaged but not fully engaged in different things, and that happens. It's business. You have churn here and there. So I actually got on this call thinking like, am I going to try to, save this client, salvage this client? Is it just like, hey, do we need to find out something that worked? So I kind of had a bit of prejudging this lead. Even though they were a current client, they still are a lead if we're talking about, re-signing them up, if we're talking about any type of form of retention, right?
So to give some context too, this is a client who we've been working with for a while, and they basically reached out to us and was like, hey, we think we either need to change our working relationship and how that is structured and everything. We have some things that are popping up and happening. And so naturally we got on a call with them, and we're texting back and forth because whenever we're on meetings, Josh and I.
No, don't do that. You're about to give away our secret sauce.
What, communicating?
Yeah,
like that
we're communicating while we're on the phone.
No, we chat during calls, and Josh, he was texting me. He's like, hey, I think with this person, because at the end of the day, you want to do what's best for them. You want to serve them, and he was like, I think we just need to play the long game with them. Like, let's help them out. And so I would say 10 minutes into the call, you were like, this person's we're not gonna get them to continue to work with us in the same capacity. Yeah. Because that's going to change, probably going to be a lower tier. Yeah. Or, we're not going to continue to work with them at all. You kind of prejudged.
I did. And I think it was because I valued these people. Like, it actually doesn't really matter why you prejudge. You have a reason why you prejudge, and we can talk about how you get over that. But I think I valued these people very, very much. And I was just like, hey, I don't really want this to, I want this to go well, no matter what happens. So I noticed that with a lot of different, when we're doing call reviews, when we're talking to prospects, when we're working one-on-one with our sales champions, right, where we're trying to really understand them at a deeper level, we'll notice that we can hear it in the call. It's like, why are you assuming that, right? Which is pretty much what prejudging is. I assume that you have this problem. I assume that you want to solve it this way. I assume your business wants to do this. But as we always say, if they don't say it on that call, I don't care what notes you have, I don't care what form you filled out, I don't care about the quiz, none of that. If they did not say it on that call, if they don't confess it, it's not real. It never happened. I've always kind of lived every sales consult that way because I want to know that you are taking full responsibility of where you're at and where you want to be. And you have to state that. You have to say it because then they get anchored in as we talk about, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I was even a couple days ago doing some training with SDRs or appointment setters, LMs, whatever you whatever you call them, depending on your industry. And they were talking about a specific type of leads that they were talking with that said, basically got on the call and they're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm that interested in everything. And keep in mind, these are inbound leads that they were working. People who saw an ad, clicked a link, gave the company information to learn about something. And I think what we have to keep in mind too is this is specifically for like inbound. Outbound is different, or if you're doing cold. But with inbound, there's a reason that they reached out to you, either consciously or subconsciously, right? Consciously, they know, hey, I reached out because it's like surface level, or I want to get this problem solved. I need help with this. Subconsciously is there's just something that stuck out to them. Maybe they can't put their finger on it, but they gave you that information for a reason. They're having that conversation with you for a reason. When you call them up and you're talking with them, they are having a dialogue with you for a reason. And it's our job to diagnose and figure out what that is. And if you call someone, you talk to someone, they're like, yeah, I'm not that. I don't know why I put my information in there. I'm not interested. Mm-hmm. There's an actual reason.
I love that you just said that, because when I realized in the middle of the call with this prospect, this client, I realized I was prejudging it, because what happened was my gut was tuned. I'm like, but if you wanted out, you just would have said, hey, I want out, or I'm done. You would have sent a message. You would have sent an email. You would have communicated that way. There was a desire to get on a phone call. Mm-hmm. And that desire to get on the phone call, I was overlooking for the first 10 minutes or so. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I wasn't like actually thinking. So what I did was I had to actually, once I recognized it halfway through, because after I sent you that text, I said, hey man, of this, but something in my gut was like, there's more to this. There's more meat on the bone. There's a problem that's actually not been solved here. We haven't actually gotten to the root, the base layer, right? Right. So anytime I'm in that situation where I'm like, and you can attest to it, you heard me on this, but anytime I'm in that situation where I'm like, there's more here and I'm off. Yeah. I'm either in lizard brain, I'm asking the prospect questions that make no sense. Somehow I'm off as a sales professional. I will always stop and I will ask a closed-ended question. So a closed-ended question is basically, I need them to respond, yes, no, sure, that's right. I need to ask a question. Sometimes it can almost even be a rhetorical question, because what I'm wanting is to stop the crazy train. I want to shut it down and be like, okay, wait, I want to get us back on track. So I'm going to ask a closed-ended question, so that way I can like normalize that baseline and be like, okay, here's where we're at. So I said, wait a second. Is this something that I'm going to be generic on purpose, but is this problem X, Y, and Z something that you're actually wanting to solve? Yes, it is. Do you believe that you still need help solving problem X, Y, and Z? Yes, I do. Boom. I created enough space for me, enough margin in those two closed-ended questions that I was able to then almost restart my diagnose phase all over again. Yeah. Did you notice that shift? Mm-hmm. What was that like on your end watching greatness? I'm just kidding.
Oh, honestly, I'm not going to lie. Halfway through that call, I was looking at Rolexes.
Wow.
So I'm not even.
Wait, why?
Why?
Yeah. Why? Like, why did you disconnect?
It's a good question. Two reasons. One, whenever we've taken sales calls together, typically I've found it best if you have like one person who's leading the call. Really, in my opinion, it's best to have one person who's the primary sales person. And this started as a customer service call that then transitioned more into like a sales call. So in my opinion, it's best for the prospect to have like one primary point of leadership instead of like hearing different things from different people. So that's one reason. The other reason is because I won a Rolex before the end of the year. and I guess for me, it was, I used to do this on sales calls when I was producing like full time. at other companies where if I don't think someone is like going to close or we're going to get money from it, I would start like looking at things that like get me excited. I would literally start shopping.
Okay, we have to go into this right now because if we're going to say that we're sales trainers, I know, okay, I get it. You're disconnecting because you know that I'm leading and I'm running it and that you're like, I'm kind of not needed
I'm
right
not
now.
saying it's the best thing.
Let's talk about this. This is a natural flow of conversation, so we're going to get into this. Do you think that if you are the only person leading a sales consult that you should be scrolling and flipping and being like finding something else?
If you're the only person leading a sales consult?
Like if it would have just been you and that client.
No, I wouldn't have done that. If it was just me and the client?
Okay. No. So you're not telling sales professionals
I'm not saying
to
do
look
this.
for Rolexes while they're supposed to be working with the prospect.
No, I would not do that because you want to be focused in. You want to listen to what they have to say. You want to make sure that you are actually paying attention.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, but you didn't feel like you had to pay attention.
No, I was taking notes and everything, and yeah.
Such a liar. Anyways, well, my experience with the call, I
shouldn't have brought that up.
Let me let you in on how the call went. I know you weren't there.
I was I was listening.
But once I realized that I was prejudging that client and that lead, I knew that I had to make an adjustment. When we are coaching sales professionals, the one thing that I see them not be able to do is adapt.
Yeah.
They're not adapting, right? They will get in a situation where it's like, oh man, this is going well, this is not going well. And they get caught in like a lizard brain. They get caught where they're like, I don't know what to do. And then they start searching. And I always try to tell people, if you are in a human moment as a sales pro and you can sense I'm not connecting with the prospect. I said something, they could be offended. I can tell that they're not engaged, something of that nature. Then you have got to stop the sales crazy train, get that baseline back to normal. Because what happens is when you get in one of those like moments, you are no longer leading your prospect. Not only are you not at the same level, you actually now drop below them. And this prospect most of the time is like, why am I even on a phone call with you? You don't even sound like you can help me at all. You don't even sound like you're engaged. So what you have to do is first, I'm going to ask a close-ended question because I want us back on the same page. Yeah. Jake, do you need help with problem X, Y, and Z? You respond back, yes. Okay, boom, now we're here. I might have to ask one more. Are you open to getting help solving problem X, Y, and Z? Yes. Okay, gotcha. What have you tried so far to solve problem X, Y, and Z? Boom. Now I'm in a leadership frame because I want to lead them. You're not leading if no one's following you. Right. I want to be able to lead that prospect because my end goal is not to collect credit cards. By the way, did I close that sale? 100%. Yes, I did. Did we actually, in theory, did we upsell them? 100%. Crushed it. But it was not because I was focused on collecting cards. I was focused on getting out of my own way, which my first problem was I was prejudging. And what's funny is I was prejudging the lead from a place of like trying to be nice. Yeah. Like I actually cared about this client. So it's like, you know what it was? I prejudged by getting in the friend zone and not wanting to upset them. And it's like, oh, well, that's what happened. I went from being nice. I went from being kind to being nice. And so then I was like, crap. Now I got to go back from being nice, get back into being kind, which means I'm here for you, which also means I will say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done, and go somewhere in the conversation that most people wouldn't. Right. So I think what I want to see is, well, actually, let me see this. With SDRs, what do you think is their number one challenge that they're running into when it comes to like prejudging a lead?
Oh, I would say the number one thing is spending time in the CRM and then looking at just before they've even made a call, looking at someone's email or the application that they've submitted or the information that they have from them, and automatically assuming before they've even made a dial that this person's not going to be a fit. Literally yesterday I was talking with one of our clients and we were going through their hot list of leads, all of their leads that they have, they've had consults with in the last like 90 days or so. And they were going through and crossing people off of the list because they're like, oh yeah, that was a bad call. That person was kind of weird. I didn't really like that person. Now, granted, these are all people that they've had consults with or had consults had been scheduled with them. And they're automatically prejudging them based off of, what their application said, based off of what, the conversation that they had previously. And I had to tell them, I was like, okay, so even if you've talked to these people and the first call wasn't bad, you talked to them like 6 months ago, what makes you assume that the next conversation you have with them is going to be bad? What makes you assume that 6 months ago they weren't a fit, they didn't meet your ICP, your buyer persona, but what makes you think that hasn't changed? So why would you take opportunity off of your list, especially like this person was dealing with a relatively small list, about 120 or so people, a list that you could easily dial through in a couple of hours. Like
every day.
I would call every single one of those people, even the people that you had bad conversations with. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, I haven't thought of it that way.
What was your advice to them to shift that? Because again, being on the highway, someone's driving slow in the fast lane or in the HOV lane, you are naturally thinking, I know what type of driver that is. You're looking through your pipeline. You're looking through your CRM. Oh, I remember that call. I remember that.
Yeah.
How do you solve for that?
I simply asked, where was your business at like a year ago? And he was like, oh, it was here. I'm like, would it have made sense for you to like work with us a year ago? He's like, oh, probably not. So if has your business changed since then? He's like, yeah. So if we were to reach out today for the first time to work with you, would it be fair for us to say, oh, we talked with you we talked with this guy a year ago. He's not a good fit. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, has things changed in the last 12 months? Has things changed in the last 6 months? And he was like, oh yeah, it has. So is change only applicable to you? Or does it happen to does everyone, like, depending on the time frame that it's been when you last talked with them? Are they in a different season, different situation? Is their business in a different place? Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. So so I told him that, and then I said, just call every damn lead.
It's funny how actually the solution can be very simple. Call every lead. Just call all of them.
Yeah. Then they were like, yeah, but then, what if they're in the same spot? Then they're in the same spot, and then call them again in 90 days and see if it's different.
Okay. This might go down a rabbit hole. Why do you believe that? And we could say sales pro or whatever, but this is so applicable beyond sales. But why do you believe people think that way? What you just said. Yeah. But what if I call and they're in the same spot?
That's a good question. Why do people think that way? I think some of it could come down to, simply put, rejection. Like, you're just getting rejected again. If I call this person again, I've already got rejected once, or they were.
But are they getting rejected?
No.
This is my point.
Their opportunity is, or what they're selling, or their service, or their product.
The sales pro believes that if I call and they say no, they're saying no to me, not to my service, not to my product, not to my offer, but they're saying no to me. And it's like, if you're in that frame of mind at all, you're done, especially in sales, because you are going to get no's, or you're going to get not nows. Especially, like, think about if you had an offer that was specific to a certain timing, is very, very, very niche down. There might be something that is physically hindering that prospect to be able to start in that moment. But the problem is a sales pro doesn't see that as, oh, I should nurture that. I should stay in contact with them. I should continue to serve them. They just see it as, oh, I can't close them. Boom, gone, off, on to the next one.
Yeah, I think part of it too, now that I'm thinking on it, I think part of it is when you talked about like prejudging people, when we prejudge people or prospects, it's almost like we are saying they are that type of person. Right? It's like you're labeling that lead is a good, not a good fit, or that lead is they don't have a business I can serve, or that lead that I talked with 6 months ago is terrible at having consults. Like they weren't present for the call, or they were on their phone, or they were driving, or they were with their kids or whatever. So it's almost like you're putting labels on prospects and just making the assumption they're that type of person, they're that type of business, and so I'm not going to reach out to them again because that's who they are. Instead of realizing that,
because it'll waste my time. It's not going to yield me the result that I want right now, which is a set, a close, something, right? And so that prejudging, that assuming, is shutting it down instead of saying like, yeah, but could they, or when could they, or what is best for that prospect?
Yeah,
I think I love watching you train, because you can break things down almost like just so elementary, and it's just like, yeah, but what if you just called the leads and they're like, and it blows their mind. But it is very true. I think, and we talked about this in another podcast, I don't know which one, but the whole considering the cost.
Yeah,
I don't think that people realize if you're going to be in business of any nature, you're always going to be in sales, or else you're not in business. Because if you don't have clients, customers, people coming to you, and you have nothing, and you're not offering your product, good, or service to them, then you're not going to be in business. It's that simple. And I think they don't realize what goes into prospecting, what goes into nurturing, what goes into pipeline management, what goes into keeping up with your leads, your opportunity, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think realizing that you're talking to a human being, at least for now, maybe in the next 10 years, we're all going to be talking to robots.
Yeah, true.
But you are talking to another human being, and not just saying, again, labeling them as another person or a number, or they're this type of prospect, but it's a human that you're talking to, and building and fostering that relationship. I mean, when we started our business, we didn't have like any marketing or sales, and we were able to grow that just off of relationships. We didn't do any ads. We didn't do any organic. I mean, we're doing some marketing now. This podcast is a form of us marketing and letting the world know what we do, but we didn't do anything. And it was just because we had built relationships with people, and we're able to reach out to people we had sold in the past, people that we had relationships with in the past. And you just
think about that, though. Relationships we built 2, 3, 4 years ago. In one instance, one of our clients, a relationship I built 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's like, because we are nurturing that, which is just simply keeping up, engaging, staying in, caring, being, caring about the other person, a human being. Yeah. We were able to leverage that for serving them later. Mm-hmm. What would be kind of in parting words? I feel like we're kind of wrapping this up. Parting words, SDRs, AEs, doesn't matter, sales professionals. What would you be your parting words when it comes to why you should not prejudge a lead in your CRM, when you're talking to somebody, and just in general?
Yeah. I'd say just care about people. Realize that you are talking to another human being that has problems and goals that they want to achieve, and your job is to serve them and help them do that. That's it. And so realize every single person that you're talking to is not just a number. Sales is a numbers game, but every person that you're talking to is a human being, and you need to actually genuinely care about serving them and helping them make the best decision for themselves.
Yeah, it's great. Couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, as always, thank you so much for listening, watching, however it is that you are consuming this. And if you are consuming this, is amazing. Best thing that you could ever do for us in any way that you would ever want to support us is to simply just subscribe or share this. And we're grateful for you. Dude, until next time, y'all stay sharp.